So you might be wondering why they asked some middle-aged Mormon gay guy to talk about his mixed orientation marriage. Well, isn't it wonderful that we live in such a wonderful world where we can celebrate rainbows and where all the colors of our affirmation rainbow are valued. Undoubtedly, there is a sizable portion of Mormon gay folks out there who are hidden from the mainstream and the media stream. Perhaps these are the ultraviolet gays in our affirmation that are beyond the visible spectrum. Most of these folks and their straight spouses would prefer to remain under the gaydar. So in my talk today, I'd like to relate some of the insights that my wife and I have gained from 30+ years of our marriage and share our evolution as a couple. Sue and I are a affirming couple. That's how we like to refer to ourselves. And we are helping to launch a new affirmation affinity group for moms, and that's the acronym for Mixed Orientation Marriage. But first, let's do this. Top 10 reasons why a mom is not always right. I found this mixed orientation couple with the county fair this year, and I just couldn't resist putting it in. Okay, so number 10, John Dehlin and his PhD research of 1,600 plus LDS LGBT surveys found that happiness scores among the closeted Mormon population were similar to folks with lupus or PTSD. Number 9, there are better ways to experience a faith transition than through a mixed orientation marriage, although you may end up paying less tithing in the end. Number 8, you might be able to keep most of the law of chastity, but virtual reality becomes the fallback position more often than the missionary position. Number 7, you can do the math, but the average of a Kinsey 1 and a Kinsey 5 do not make a 3. Otherwise, polyamory would be more popular in the LDS church. Number 6, you having your dear spouse find out that you're gay after you've tied the knot is not a reliable form of birth control or eternal relationships. Number 5, when you come out of the closet, your spouse now wishes to move in with the food store. Number 4, coming out to your in-laws can often be less comfortable than a tooth extraction and have longer-lasting side effects. Number 3, studies have shown that you might forget how to keep your pants zipped up during that midlife crisis. How then do you manage your wife? Your life. 2, who knows? After the divorce, you could end up loving your mother-in-law more than your spouse. Then again, you might not. And number 1, after 10, 20, or 30 years of marriage and several pant sizes larger, you may find yourself humming that old familiar tune, "Where have all you guys gone?" All right, so I hope that my poking fun at moms isn't offensive, but I figured that humor was the best way to illustrate and acknowledge that mixed orientation marriages are problematic and that indeed they can be painful and disastrous in families. However, there are some of us who are hanging in there and are actually making our marriages work happily most of the time, which is, I think, what most married folks do. So I'd like to share with you a little of our story and to piece together some of the constructs of why moms exist, at least for us. So let's start back at the beginning of my young adult life. The year is 1974, and I graduated from high school and joined the Mormon Church. A year later, I was wearing a white shirt and tie and knocking on doors. After my mission, I dated for about 3 years and still hadn't kissed a girl. I was lonely, depressed, wanted to get married, start a family, and was not really admitting that I was same-sex attracted. All of the young women I dated were effectively just sisters or friends. And then Sue moved into my student ward at BYU. Besides being from London with a cool British accent, she was a returned missionary and a graduate student in sociology, and definitely not Molly Mormon. I was attracted to her personality, and we dated, and eventually became physically attracted. Yes, she taught me how to kiss. So I prayed to know if Sue was the one. And I did get one of those rich, burning in the bosom kind of answers that gave me the courage to propose marriage. And we married in 1981 in the Manti Temple. And we were proud parents of 3 beautiful, all grown up now daughters. Let me just say that I'm so thankful that I found Sue and that the Lord blessed me with a direct answer, which not only gave me courage but determination to hang on. And it hasn't always been wonderful. There have been rough waters, but somehow we've survived through our disconnects and our many mistakes. And together, we have learned how to practice patience, long-suffering, forgiveness, and kindness in our lives. This is why I believe in marriage equality for all who desire to be married, the life lessons we gain from it. Let's talk about a few points about mixed orientation marriages. We don't know how many LDS moms there are because most won't self-identify. Coming out is doubly difficult. Both must struggle with the fear of cultural judgments, family problems, and divorce. Straight spouses suffer just as much or more than their gay partners. Mixed orientation marriages were perhaps more common in previous decades, certainly for my generation. However, moms are still turning today in the LDS Church. Unfortunately, the large majority of out moms, that is, when the gay spouse comes out, the marriage ends in divorce. Some estimate this as high as 80 or 90%. But if I'm tired of life in the closet, why should divorce be the foregone conclusion? There doesn't seem to be much middle ground inside a Mormon land for Mormon couples. It's like either we're in the closet or we're out in marriage. Affirmation's new affinity group for moms has launched with this 2014 conference to help mom families find middle ground. Earlier this morning, we started with working out details for being a supportive resource for mom families. Our belief is that folks in moms can be happy and fulfilled in their married life if they choose to be open and affirming of their status. That openness first begins as a couple with acceptance and honesty about individual and shared needs. And affirming mixed orientation marriage requires both partners to support one another with a joint commitment to stay in marriage. But how that plays out is different for everyone. Openness in our own marriage began about 15 years ago, and it took a decade of gradual steps for me to come out to myself, my wife, my children, family, friends. Likewise, Sue had to make a transition from anger and fear to choosing informed trust. For us, when we did our cost-benefit analysis and considered all our options, we decided to continue to grow in our marriage. We love each other, and we decided to take the scenic tour and help each other grow old. Yeah, we want to be grandparents together. Now, this is not to say that others who have made the very hard decision to leave their mixed orientation marriage feel any less love to their spouse or devotion to their family. The stage of life you're in, what you hope to make of your life, and reconciling matters of faith and sexuality are all huge factors to be individually considered as well as jointly considered. We should never stand in judgment of others' life decisions. Our mandate should be to honor one another and to support all families. So, whatever we choose to do with our lives, whether we are single, married to a man or a woman, in or out of the church, I believe that if we are truly guided by love, we will find our potential and experience joy in our lives. Let me close by referring us all to the admonition of Moroni found in the Book of Mormon. Charity is the pure love of Christ, and it endureth forever. Wherefore, my beloved brethren and sisters, pray unto the Father with all the energy of heart, that ye may be filled with this love, which he hath bestowed upon all who are true followers of his Son, Jesus Christ. This is my great desire for each of us.